Hear ye, hear ye. John Phillips with episode 3 of the 2025 edition of Courts and Sports. So episode 1, we kind of got into the trading card, the baseball card industry with some interesting legal issues related to how cards are in commerce, misrepresentations, monopolies, all of that. Episode 2, which is available on YouTube, was about DUI arrests and kind of how to handle it if you've found yourself having had a couple of drinks and getting behind the wheel, but also what celebrity and children and parents of celebrity DUI arrests look like. This is number 3. So I'm a little late on the uptake, so I've probably missed all the real viral searches of this topic, but we're taking on Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. Am I really about to do it?
You really about to do it? 40 acres and a mule.
Yes, I'm really about to do it. There's a lot at play here. One thing about Kendrick Lamar is his lyrics, his melodies, everything about him is intended to be dual, triple meaning. It's all about trying to send a message. And on the surface, that message is largely about Drake.
Say, Drake, I hear you like I'm young.
But as it was said during the Super Bowl,
40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music.
That 40 acres and a mule line, the dressing up of Samuel Jackson as Uncle Sam, the people on the African American people making up the American flag. A lot of this, majority of this, was lost on much of the Super Bowl audience. Why? They're white people wanting to watch football. Okay? We're not, apparently in this era, not supposed to talk about, systemic racism, equality. In fact, it's really important to note from this story how the Super Bowl executives, the people putting on the Super Bowl, decided to take in racism down, that it's been a part of the Super Bowl for some period of time. Because, the president's going to be there, and we're not, we're post-racial, but we're not. We're not at all. I mean, as a civil rights lawyer, I see it every day, and even myself, I get frustrated with judges who are using, Supreme Court cases out of context to throw cases out, or whether you like Donald Trump or not, he is stuffing the judiciary with Federalist judges who often are unqualified, but more often are turning a blind eye to systemic racism and don't really want to dig into matters at the core of our country's history and problems. I have a unique role as a person that gets invited to the picnic and gets to participate in conversations as a white guy with my African American brothers and sisters who are just trying to get by and just trying to have equal standing and just trying to have equal footing, and want to talk about all these issues that Kendrick Lamar is presenting in his music. But where can that conversation be had, right? Well, Kendrick Lamar said it can be had right here, right now. And a lot of folks weren't ready for that. So at the core, I want to start talking about this. So right here, this is the lawsuit that's kind of the the main lawsuit. There's multiple lawsuits between Kendrick and, directly and the Drake's filed, but the main lawsuit is Aubrey Drake Graham versus UMG Recordings, okay? And when you draft complaints, this one is 81 pages. When you draft complaints, as a lawyer, you can do them short, you can do them, this complaint could have been done in 20 pages, but, when you're dealing with celebrities and you're dealing with the media and you're dealing with, meaty issues, you tell a story. And then sometimes a federal judge or some state judges will make you pare it down and say, look, come on, I get it. And when a complaint starts with a quote, that's when it's more of a story, it's more of a play than it is a notice pleading to an adverse party. And the quote is, a single lie can destroy a reputation of integrity. And while it takes years to build a reputation, it can be ruined in 5 minutes. We've always heard that quote. It's been, paraphrased many, many times. And it's coming from Sir Lucian Grange, Chief Executive Officer of UMG, March 25, 2024. So it's a shot from line one because, Drake and Drake's lawyers didn't find the original lifetime to build a reputation in a minute to destroy it. They went directly to the defendant who said this to say they know that they can destroy reputations in 5 minutes. And let me tell you what they're doing. So again, hiring a lawyer is important. Choosing them off commercials or because they have, no offense to my Instagram verification, but because they're verified on Instagram, look at if you're serious and you have a serious case, look at their body of work because there's a lot of gamesmanship that goes on, but you also got to win at trial. And so you need somebody that can do the press conference, but can get in front of a jury as well. So, again, in setting the tone of this complaint, a lot of people don't understand, it starts to tell a story. In the middle of the night on May 7th, 2024, an armed group of assailants drove up to Drake's house where his family resided. Drake was inside. Somebody yelled, F Drake. And at least one gunman began to open fire. So, instead of just saying sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, Drake's legal team is saying these words are hurting him and threatening him. And that's why it's not just mere defamation. It's words that's inciting violence. Okay. And then, I'm going to stop reading the complaint and kind of tell you what it's about and why it's a problem, and how First Amendment cases work. So the word pedophile, in most states is so abhorrent that even calling somebody a pedophile, if not true, will result in liability, sometimes even criminal liability, because it's accusing somebody of exploiting children, and that's not only a crime, it's as repugnant as our world can imagine. But you got to rewind to kind of what the gossip and rumor mill and situation was, surrounding Drake. And in my understanding, and I'm not ingrained in rap culture, I've represented some rappers, and certainly, in the middle of the YNW Melly dispute by representing one of the victims in that shooting. But there was a young lady named Tia Owens who was 17 years old. Back in, I think, 2010, there was a video which we'll play part of. So, Tia later released a statement that said, regarding the video that's going around, I was 17 back then, and I'm 31 now. It tells you, how quickly time has flown. Not really. This was a concert that my dad took me to back in high school. Drake's entourage actually picked me out from the crowd of people, not Drake himself. By the way, performers always bring up fans on stage as part of their show. It was nothing then, and it's still nothing now. And, now that I've cleaned up these false narratives, I'm going to go back to study for my law school exams. So, here's kind of one of the targets that people cite to saying, here Drake liked a minor. In my world, I call that an unforced error. Now, look, what you see in that video, I think is pretty inappropriate of a minor. I get she's 17. His staff didn't card her before she got on the stage, but he's kissing at her neck, kissing her on her face, massaging her. If I'm the parent, and really care about my child with all the stuff that we know goes on backstage at these concerts, I don't like it. And the fact she's a minor is a problem. Okay? So he doesn't get to say Drake has never engaged in inappropriate romantic or sexual behavior with a minor. Inappropriate romantic behavior with a minor? I think that might be. Now, the romance is staged to him. It's part of his bit. But that's what kind of sets this stuff up. And so there's the expression in First Amendment law called rhetorical hyperbole, where you get to take liberties based upon some things people have done or said. And so, comments about stealing somebody's little sister, fair game. That's fair game. That she's probably a minor, fair game. Now, what some people want is for their rap to lead to depositions. They want people to have to defend themselves, and for Drake to have to sit in a deposition, and he will, where he has to talk about this, his relationships with P. Diddy or a number of Hollywood celebrities that have been linked to sex trafficking, perhaps and probably Drake's perfectly normal, and this was, a bad day 15 years ago. But at the end of the day, when you beef with other rappers and you talk shit about them and they talk shit about you, but you have this video of you caressing a 17-year-old, you open yourself up. If the last video was on Marcus Jordan drunk driving, and if Marcus Jordan decided to throw shade at somebody for drugs, well, guess what? They're going to bring up the white powdery substance that was in his car, and that's fair game. And so, certainly the artistic expression about fucking him up, that could be his career. Kendrick Lamar is not personally threatening violence. The stuff about the house and publishing his house, well, everybody, Drake's house, mansion actually, has been in videos before. So, do I think that Kendrick Lamar probably went too far? I do. Do I think Drake has a case against Kendrick Lamar? I think somebody's already told him he doesn't. And that's why he didn't sue Kendrick Lamar. He sued his own record distributor. So, getting back to that, you get to, the allegations that they say that UMC profited on the malicious narrative that Drake is a pedophile. And again, that's overstating what he said. The line isn't directly that Drake is a certified pedophile. And what does that even mean? What is a certified pedophile? It means some state agency has certified you. Well, that's not true. But that's not what he says. And so, Kendrick Lamar has written these lyrics in nuance. I don't think he had a lawyer go through them because I think they might have helped, shape things and make other recommendations. But, the page 3, paragraph 8 of the complaint says, this lawsuit is not about the artists who created Not Like Us. It is entirely about UMG. And Drake felt betrayed and pointed out that UMG actually helped get the song placed in the Super Bowl. We know it was in the Grammys. UMG published the recording for streaming on YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeart, Tidal, SoundCloud, blah, 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 blah. So he's mad that they made it successful and it was a shot against him, who he had some, duty of loyalty and fiduciary obligations. But where they're going to have a hard time is showing how UMG's promoting of one hurt another. His songs are still very popular. He's dealing with it. He's been called out at the Grammys. He's been called out, and it's the echo chamber of all the people saying, "Oh, this song's about Drake. This song's about Drake." And it is a bit of a lazy narrative. It is about Drake, but the Super Bowl performance was about Black voices getting heard, folks, and the narrative repeatedly as a storyteller by Samuel L. Jackson was, hey, don't do it. The Super Bowl watching public wants you to perform, what they want to see. And, he was tongue in cheek repeatedly saying, don't act like a Black performer, don't act like a Black rapper, don't disappoint them. And Kendrick Lamar was really about to do it, and he did it, and good for him. So the other interesting thing about the UMG complaint is all the stuff that Drake brings up about how marketing is done. And so, there's so many allegations, I'm trying to find it, about pay to play. So there's the concept of payola referenced in there a lot about how UMG has to pay DJs and to make Spotify playlists, that's sponsored, and all the money that was spent to promote Not Like Us, Drake's pissed off about, because again, they're platforming what he considers defamation. I think he'd lose the defamation case. And, he's hurt. And he goes, on and on about all the different ways that UMG has put their resources behind Kendrick Lamar to make this song a hit, and it's billions now of views. People at the Grammys were singing it every time it comes on in public. The crowd goes A minor, and that's of course a music note, but it's also in reference to this. And so, it's courts and sports, right? At the end of the day, we get calls, once a week, once every other week, about somebody wanting to sue somebody for defamation. And, the first question always is, okay, how were you damaged? And they're like, well, it hurt me because it was said. And it's like, no, but how were you economically damaged? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. How were you hurt? What job did you lose? what stigma did you have and how did it affect you? And they answer, and usually defensive. And then it's, okay, well, how did that statement cause you damages? And, most states, a lot of states now have anti-SLAPP laws, which are strategic lawsuits against public participation. So where, somebody sues you because of speech, and tries to stop you, there's laws that say you can't do that anymore. You get to have your narrative under the First Amendment, provided it's not, dangerous, and provided it's not, actionable defamation. And, we've gotten attorney's fees recently, when Wonkette, a blog, posted about an attorney by the name of Larry Klayman, who always is in the political sphere. And Wonkette said things, in parody about Larry Klayman. Larry Klayman sued, and we won on anti-SLAPP grounds. It was appealed denied. And so we get attorney's fees from Larry Klayman, and we're in the process of collecting those. And so, when we're looking at the Super Bowl and what was said and what was done, I think a couple things are important to remember. One, it wasn't just about Drake. It was political, social, economic, and the battle for equality in a moment in time. It was a performance. It was art. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but it wasn't music. It wasn't a band getting on and playing a song. It was meant to make people think. It was meant to send a message and to be a slap in the face to some. And that flew over the heads of a lot of people, and that's fine. Some people just rejected it, because they think we're in a post-racial society. It's not true, but it is what it is. But as it relates to the beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, the problem Drake has is he made this video in 2010. I don't know what else he's done or not done since then. I'm sure there's blogs that discuss it. But by publicly massaging and caressing and kissing a minor, he kind of opened the door for some of this. Can you directly call him a certified pedophile and claim that he molests children? You will go straight to a lawsuit if you do that. And that's not what Kendrick Lamar did. So, it stuff's always fascinating. If you find yourself in First Amendment or defamation grounds, give me a call. I'm happy to discuss it. I handled Omarosa's case against Donald Trump when she said political speech, and he sued her under an NDA, and we prevailed and got attorney's fees. And I've handled several others. So just give us a call, 904-444-4444, 800-LITIGATE. We'll be happy to help. Talk to you soon.
Hear ye, hear ye.